So your man Nate Parker is back. He blackety black with a blackety black film, huh? We're gonna talk about that too. But Nate Parker was back with a new film. I seen that. I did a little research and saw that this film has been being made for over the last year. But let's talk about it. In this racial climate, in this police brutality to fund the police narrative space, he does a movie that is in context with that in the public. And I give an overview of this trailer, what I think in the context of him, and the possible backlash from his movie doing this in this racial sensitive time right now. Will the real blackistans and colorists and all those stand up because this is a black man with a non-black wife making another blackety black film, huh? Let's talk about it.
How you doing tonight?
Doing well, officer.
Can I see your driver's license, registration, and insurance, please?
Of course. My license is right here, my wallet. That's all right, son. You remember the night in July? Hey! Wait! Put the phone down! Put that phone down! It's a cell phone. It's just a cell phone. You knew he was unarmed. Shut the door and put your hands in the air! Officer, please, accept the kid! Pointed your gun at him. Kid, get out of the car, son. Easy. You pulled the trigger.
The grand jury determined that no probable cause exists to file any charges against Officer Randall.
This is my son. This is my little boy. You took that from me. The world took that from me. Today we make that right. Hear me when I say this because I'm not.
So Nate is back. He hasn't been around for a while. His last movie was Birth of a Nation. We know that he sold that movie to Fox for like 17 mil. The movie did not do well in the theater, at least the first week or so. That's obviously all on black men. We talked a good game on social media and whatnot to counter the boycotts. So you had white feminists and you had black liberal women vicariously seeing that white woman who died through them some way, somehow. I don't know how they did that. But they jumped on the bandwagon, the Root and Ebony Essence, all the hashtag Root article type places. They jumped in on the bandwagon. Robin Roberts tried to shit on him as well. Even though, you know, as I said before, a nigga get acquitted 17 years later. They still acting like he did it. But yeah, he took a L. Not really, because he got paid and he moved on and Fox took the L. Even though the movie, back when it was screened, got all types of awards and whatnot. But yeah, Nate is back. And this is his first film since then. Now, as you saw, it said it right here. I said presented by Spike Lee, which had me kind of like in my feels for a minute because Spike Lee level of nigga crapdom bothers me. I would never pay to see another one of his films. Not saying I'm not a fan of some of his work. I like America Last Saint Anne. What's that one he just did? I forgot the one dude he had the other British actors playing the Black American role. But he's got some good films. The classic movie he did that he remade for Netflix, You Gotta Have It, before he let the feminists get to it and fudge it up. The original was a classic. It was a beautiful movie. It's not saying he doesn't have good work. His nigga crackdom is just too high for me, so I just don't see myself paying to see anything he's doing. But fortunately, watching the interview, I saw that he doesn't have anything to do with this film. It looks like he's just help promoting the film or, you know, attaching himself to it so that it will get, you know, more eyes or give Nate a pass because of his previous situation. I don't know, but a Spike Lee presentation. I wonder if this is like a black thing because I remember when whatever that one shitty horror film, the one that Lee Daniels did with everybody. Martrick was in it too. He was a download dude giving him all the monster to Janet Jackson and stuff. Whatever that movie was called. But I know they said Tyler Perry's name was on that film too. But it was more like Oprah. And then I think they even threw Oprah in there. but neither one of them had anything to do with the movie. It was Lee Daniels and other folks, the one that Monique won an Oscar for. So I wonder if that's a black thing where we take a bigger director or a bigger star and we say presented by, I guess, to give them some shine, even though they ain't have shit to do with the movie. So I'm just saying all that to say is I'm glad to find out Spike Lee, this isn't his film. That last joint he did on Netflix, the war movie, that shit, I fell asleep, didn't really care about the ending. It was ass. It was just too much. It didn't make any sense. He was doing too much. But that could be my bias. But yeah, Spike Lee ain't got shit to do with this movie. He just helped him promote the film. Now, basically, what we see, obviously, in the trailer is that brother with his son gets shot, goes to court. Like most of these cases, there's no evidence of any wrongdoing. Police officer gets off. And that's where this movie's at. As you just saw, Omar Joik, another black man with a non-black wife with doing a pro-blackity-black film. I know the colorist chicks and the diverse chicks and the black stands are going to be in their fills because they say that there should be a rule when you make movies like this that you should not have a black wife, or it's just stupid because Hollywood is full of a bunch of swirlers. So I don't understand what they don't get. My response to this is like, yo, if y'all want, why aren't the black men with the black wives doing it? It's just that simple. Maybe these men feel guilty or feel away or they see the stories not being told. As you recall, when Nate Parker did Nat Turner's story, he said that black men with black wives were telling him, no, you can't do that. You need a white savior. So it is what it is. But I wonder if this is going to be a deflection for the sisters to boycott the film or whatever, you know, how they get in their feelings nowadays when they see these successful black directors and movie stars making good films with good points, but having a good message, but they want to be petty and divert. Donald Glover did the song, This Is America, and it was a horrible song, but the visuals were amazing, and he won some awards for it and all of that, but the deflection was, well, he ain't got a black woman. I'm like, what does that have to do with the story that he's telling? He's still a black man, given his experience. Now, if I were a black man and I hopped the fence, would I be focused on doing stuff like that? Probably not. Probably wouldn't be, you know, but it is what it is. I'm sure that's going to be a deflection, though, and the issue is going to be brought up. As I said before, though, with Birth of a Nation, that failed because black men did not go out and watch it and support it as the shit we talked online that we were going to do. We didn't. I saw it in theater, and I bought it digitally on Vudu. I bought it, so I do own the film, too. But, yeah, like, that was an issue back then. And a lot of black folks were shitting on that film. Even the ones who watched it, they made up some fake stuff about. I'll probably re-upload my review of that movie actually when I first saw it because, you know, there were no white. They felt like he wasn't savage enough in it. He didn't go ruthless killing the women and white women and children too. Whatever. I don't know. To me, the worst things in that film were not the slavery aspects, but it was the little shit that triggered me. Like, there was that scene in the movie where Nat Turner's slave owner not defended him, but told another white man to leave my slave alone in so many words, because I looked at it as, well, that's his property, and if you're hitting his property, he's not going to be able to do work for you. So I'm saying, like, it wasn't like he was defending him as a human being. He was saying, like, yo, don't hit my tool. Like, it's like somebody coming up and they break your forklift or they kicking your forklift. And you're like, yo, I can't do the work tomorrow if you break my forklift. So I'm going to whoop your ass for messing up my money and my ability to provide for my business. So those are the type of subtle things that I saw that show ownership that triggered me more than the overt things like when they force fed them and stuff like that. Like, the little shit had me in my feels. But a lot of black people were shitting on the film. Even Thought Crimes, they were hating largely because, you know, the simp of her husband, whatever, was defending the black women who were mad that the black guy with the non-black wife was doing the film. And they even said that it was they even attacked Nat Turner, saying it was a failed rebellion. But I'm like, by that logic, all revolts from black people were failures because look at the conditions we were in. Even Haiti, who won their battle, they lost the war because they financially got raped. France came in and took all their shit. Like, give me all that. and you gonna pay me for y'all winning y'all freedom. So by that logic, all of them were failures. Like, come on, like, but people was just hating. And I'm assuming that's why they need Spike Lee to be a part of this. He did go through the ringer in the media, a lot of black media, and again, he was acquitted for 17 years. Never came up in all the other movies he was doing. Great Debaters. What was that? When they redid Red Tails, all these films he did, none of that came up. He does his own film, and then boom. The white women was out there with the candles sitting out there protesting the boycott, and the black women joined along with him. But this is his first film since then, so maybe he did the right type of film to not. Well, no, because I remember even Emma Phillips was in her feelings, and hadn't even watched the movie, and she was giving critiques of it. So I don't know. Even though that was a story that needed to be told, even though there was a lot of black people who did not know of Nat Turner's story, there was still a lot of backlash and pushback from the shea butter black feminist space of our community. And a bunch of male simps like Prince Solomon or whatever her name is. But this movie, from the trailers, all I keep hearing is people want to watch it. It reminds me of the reaction I saw from what happened to Ahmaud Arbery down in Georgia. Although they were not police officers, a lot of black folks he was talking some smoke, like liberals and conservatives. I remember Shermichael, who, he's one of them conservatives. He got fired from the Trump administration because he talked some shit about Trump, and then he went into that whole neutral, never Trumper space. But I remember, like, he was on the grapevine talking like, "Yo, I would have clapped back because I'm armed." Like nah. And even he was making a point that Jimmy wasn't. Was that there's only so much you can do, right? Like, I'm not saying, because I know the backlash that can come for this. I know that how white conservatives are going to view it as an anti-cop movie. I know that people have the blacker than mind, like, yo, we're not going to win that war if we do it. That's not the point. You can't keep pushing people around. You can't keep giving people no justice and not eventually expecting them to react. That's just the facts of life. There was a situation that just happened in Chicago where some older lady, Lori Lightfoot, and that's a whole different conversation because, people are talking about black women are not protected, but your black lesbian mayor in Chicago knew about the situation, saw the tape, lied about seeing the tape, and covered it up, even though it didn't even happen under her administration. She had nothing to do with it. It wouldn't have even been a lick against her. She could have used it politically to put the police in check or whatever. If she cared about black people, she doesn't. Yet y'all still black girl magicking her, even though she's definitely working for the white LGBT people in Chicago. But that just happened, and I saw a lot of response from that. And the idea of all these white officers in this room with this naked 50-year-old woman for 20 minutes before they even put her clothes on her or covered her up, and she now is getting smoke from the mayor and whatnot because she released the tape song. This is what y'all did to me. A lot of folks didn't like that. A lot of folks ready to clap back, and it's like that's where we are in this space. Like, eventually, people get to a tipping point where they're gonna do what's in this movie, right? Like, people saying like this movie's gonna promote it. No, people already feel that way. You remember when the 15-year-old girl got slammed by the police officer? Those young black men that were around him, they were charging after that cop until he grabbed his gun. Right? So that's what we are. I don't know any way to spin it. I think from watching the interviews that Nate, so he has got a big role of Marjorie. Nate definitely is going to be balanced in the film. He's definitely going to be like, he's definitely gonna like, because he said in the interview, like, this isn't just one-sided. It's showing you both perspectives, not to pick a side, but to show you like, yo, the police aren't trained to do certain things. Like, you got some idiots on YouTube who will say things like, why didn't they shoot him in the leg? Like, no, motherfucker, that's not how they're trained. They're trained to shoot center mass. That's just some little TV movie shit. And then you shoot them in their leg and you hit this certain spot, and then they can sue you for shooting them in the leg. And not you personally, but the police unions or whatever, qualified immunity stops that or whatever. But Like, no, you're better off dying, especially if something else happens and they find out later on that, like they can get over you dying, they can't get over you surviving and having shots in you, and you was the wrong suspect. That's a different case. But one thing I will say about the trailer is like everybody talks about people having their talk with their kid. The son was doing a little bit too much. Like, I'm just saying, like, again, you can record and all that, but too much fidgeting and doing all that nonsense. So that's one thing I could see in the film where he, as a father, didn't have that reaction or conversation with his son on how we're going to react and how we're going to respond in these situations. That's the one thing I did notice in the trailer. Is like his son was doing a little bit. He's yelling at his son, put the phone down, son. Put the camera down, whatever. Like, be chill, slow down. Like, all that commotion is like in that situation where they trigger ready for us. They already got their guns drawn on us or whatever. So I do want to do a video, maybe a live stream, and get a bunch of black men from different walks of life, because I did see that where like black men, even amongst conservatives, are like, yo, we do have these experiences with police officers. We do have these encounters, and they're not always bad, and they're not always good. Most of us survive the stop, but sometimes you have to let people know that that's a thing that's happening because they're too blue line bullshit matters, whatever. But I am definitely interested in seeing the film. I hate when you see something that's being done that you similar to what you want to do, like this movie, and then Almost Perfect, The Watchmen on HBO. They did a lot of things in the aspects of a movie that I thought about making. The Making of a Militant is the title of the movie I would do, but it would be like some of what you saw in Spook by the Door mixed with a little bit of the flashbacks of what you saw in The Watchmen. Movie was almost perfect until they did the homo shit, but that's a different conversation. But going flashback into Tulsa, Oklahoma, flashback into the war, things of that nature, I think that was just spot on. That was cool that they did that, and that's something I would do in a modern film too as well. But yeah, we have another pro-blackity black movie being done by two powerful black men in Hollywood with no black wives, and I know that's going to trigger some. The movie does look interesting. It does look like he's gonna, again, like I'm saying, be balanced in his approach and showing you like, yo, this is what's happening. This is why they react that way. This is why they don't shoot you in the leg and they shoot you center mass, because that's the way they're trained. They're not trained to de-escalate. And it's also going to explain why we feel the way we feel and why you get to a point that you clapping back and you going. And again, it's not about winning the war or the perception of what happens after we do this and how bad the media is going to spin it when it says, when another Christopher Darling happens, or the dude that whatever happened that was in Texas and Dallas, right? And that's another thing I'm saying too, because I'm watching all these new black conservatives be in their fields and be worried about white conservatives and how they're intellectually dishonest when it comes to issues of race. I'm like, y'all late. All you had to do is look at your Facebook friends when, as controversial as it was, when dude got shot in the car without a cop with the Philando Castile, and then as controversial as that may have been, look at the response from your white friends who didn't say shit about it, but then like a week later, 2 weeks, what happened in Dallas happened, it was Blue Lives Matter this, and if you don't support the police, delete me. So like that's the thing, like people don't understand, like on issues of race, white folks is intellectually dishonest on both sides of the aisle. Democrats, Republicans, progressives, whatever. Like this beef, so you have no friends when it comes to the issues of race on some of these situations. But one thing I like too, because in this scene right here, he tells them don't start recording, and it's something I thought about myself, because during the civil rights movement, when they was getting their ass beat, the point was they wanted it to be recorded. They wanted the world to see the injustice and the brutality and the dogs and the fire hoses being sick, messing with women and children and whatnot. Like that was the point. It's record this shit. Not that they wanted to take value and getting their ass whooped, but they wanted the world to see. That's why they did not retaliate. That was the tactic that they chose to do, and it somewhat worked for them in that situation. One could argue that the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. Did we really get, what did we get out of that House of Rights situation, right? We just got a bunch of fake integration and, not economically breaking bread and sharing the wealth, which Dr. King was switching to towards his demise. That's why they killed his ass. But I like that scene where he was like, yo, don't stop recording, because this is the point of this, is we want the world to see, and we want to show the world, because they don't see us. And ironically, that was a good name of that movie, that documentary, When They See Us, because this is what you want to see. It reminds me back to the situation with, I don't think it was Mississippi Burning. It's one of the movies, the one with Matthew McConaughey. And when he told the one with Samuel Jackson, and he snapped and killed the dude that killed his daughter, right? When Matthew McConaughey was doing the case, he had to tell the white jurors to close their eyes because he knew that their racial biases would not see themselves vicariously through this black man the same way these black women saw themselves through that white woman that died in the Nate Parker situation, who killed herself, whatever. White people can't do that the way apparently black women can. But he told them to close their eyes and imagine if it was them and that happened to your daughter, your child, what would you do? And that's sometimes what we have to do. Some people do have to see it. Again, I get that, but they have to see it. They have to experience it to see it, and they have to feel it to see it. Like, just hearing about it and seeing clips on the news and whatever, that's not enough. They need to be there and witness it sometimes to get a full grasp of what's going on here. But I have no beef with the trailer. It looks decent to me. It looks interesting to me. Hopefully he gets some success for it. I wish he didn't have to use Spike Lee to promote it, because his nigger cadum is too high for me. I'm just like, fuck Spike Lee. The way he did Chrisette Michele, the way he was like, I'm denying you an opportunity that he didn't even know he had. She ain't know she had. I'm taking you off my shitty ass Netflix show. She's got to have it voice singing. She didn't even know she had the opportunity to do that. Like, I didn't like that. I didn't like the way he handled himself with that situation. I just like these fake Hollywood elites being bullies to black folks because they won't support the Democratic plantation. But yeah, that's my quick overview of the trailer. Looking forward to seeing the film. Hopefully, black men, you go watch the shit and support it, unlike you did with Birth of a Nation. You didn't go do it. Yeah, what are your thoughts on the trailer? What are your thoughts on the outcomes of this? What do you see the biggest complaints being? I haven't heard anything, probably because of the pandemic, people not going to theaters or whatever. So it's no real, like, I'm going to hurt this film situation, like, you know, not yet at least. But I'm sure as this picks up and more people see the trailer and it gets bigger and Nate gets more credit and might win some awards for it, then you'll see all the Shea Butter Twitter crowd and the white feminists come out of the corners to come shit on this film. Or maybe they can't because of what the film is about, though. Right? I'm saying that. But that's two back-to-backs, blackity-black films from two black men without no black wives. And again, where are the black men with the black wives making these type of films? Why they not doing it?
I'm the exception to the rule. The Yale brothers that were there are the exception to the rule. We're not the rule. We should not be seen as the barometer. You know, our President Obama is not the barometer. He's an exception, because for every one of us, there's so many dying. There's so many, you know, being dealt. You know, a part of the prison industrial complex. You know, a part of a broken education systems. What we're dealing with is real, and as long as we're looking to the exception to let us know where we are as a country, we're never going to change.
And you mentioned earlier, you know, the term white supremacy. So many people would consider that to be an extreme view. Do you consider yourself an extremist?
Absolutely not. It's the definition. If you go and look up the racism in the definition, it says white supremacy, and then it says institutional or systemic racism, and then it says racial hate. The reality is this. Instead of us taking this and saying, all right, is this where we are? Are we in a society that elevates one race above the other? You know, we talk about a racial divide. It's not so much a racial divide as it is a racial hierarchy. The reality is black lives don't carry the same value. And that's evident in the lack of consequences we're seeing across the nation with young men being killed and young women being killed.
But your life has value, and our lives have value, and everybody has an opportunity, do they not, to advance themselves? In other words, you know, you have the views that you have, and we respect all views here. Go ahead.
Right. You said everyone has the...
But at the end of the day...
You said everyone has the... Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, Nate, please.
No. He said, doesn't everyone have a choice? Doesn't everyone have the right? The reality is, who I am right now as an activist, artist, My trajectory could be cut short at any moment by a poorly conditioned, whether it be an officer or citizen, that their knee-jerk reaction is to pull the trigger and kill me. Maybe I can, before I get killed, yell, hey, I'm an actor, don't shoot me, I'm not like everyone else. Maybe that would help me. But in reality, we don't often get that chance.
Nat, isn't that